10 incredible pop culture items found in unexpected places. Number 10. Amelia Earhart film. In the spring of 1937, famed aviator Amelia Earhart was preparing for her fateful doomed attempt to fly around the world. Before departing, Earhart stopped for a photo shoot at an airfield in Burbank, California with her personal photographer. Bresnik's brother John came along for the photo shoot and recorded 3.5 minutes of home movie footage on a 16mm camera. The film then sat on a shelf in John Bresnik's office for 50 years, after which it sat on a shelf in his son's office for another 20 years before it was rediscovered. Number 9. Original Apple computer. It turns out one person's e-waste is another's $2 lakh million treasure. A recycling company in Silicon Valley is trying to locate an elderly woman who tried to recycle an original Apple I computer in the spring of 2015. The Apple I was personally built by Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak in Jobs' garage in 1976 and was one of only 200 made. Number 8. John Lennon's guitar. A significant piece of Beatles memorabilia surfaced this year after disappearing more than 50 years ago. A 1962 J160E Gibson acoustic guitar that was used by John Lennon to record the early Beatles track Love Me Do. John Lennon also reportedly used it during early writing sessions with Paul McCartney of classics such as I Want to Hold Your Hand, All My Loving and From Me to You. The guitar went missing in 1963. Meanwhile, the amateur guitarist John McCaw bought a guitar in San Diego in the 1970s for a couple $100. In 2014, a friend noticed the similarity between McCaw's guitar and the lost Lennon guitar, so they decided to look into it. Number 7. Luca Griggs Baseball Bat. Apparently, protection costs a lot in New Jersey. A woman there has been holding on to an old baseball bat as a home defense weapon for 40 years, little realizing it once belonged to the great Lou Grigg. Her family says a relative of former Yankee Stadium groundskeeper gave the woman the bat decades ago. She promptly took it home and leaned up behind the front door in case of intruders. Now in her 80s, the woman recently told her daughter she wanted to give the bat to some neighborhood children to play baseball with. Her daughter, realizing the age of the bat, suggested someone should take a closer look at it first. Number 6. Chris Hadfield's flight suit. Beloved Canadian astronaut Chris Hadfield was the first Canadian to walk in space and is credited with humanizing space travel for the general public, which makes all the more surprising that one of his flight suits was discovered hanging on the wall of Toronto thrift store in 2015. Number 5. Marvin Gaye's passport. An avid Motown collector got the deal of a lifetime when he bought some records at a garage sale. The unnamed collector was working at a labels museum when he visited a garage sale held by the family of a late musician. Not only did he pick up a stack of records for a couple quarters each, he also got a bonus when something fell out of one of the album sleeves. Marvin Gaye's 1964 passport. Number 4. Reese Witherspoon's boot. A couple of Oregon hikers used their outdoor skills to turn up a Hollywood prop in the spring of 2015. Wild. Based on the best-selling memoir by Cheryl Strayed and starring Reese Witherspoon, documents a young woman's journey along 1,000 miles of the Pacific Crest Trail. In a pivotal scene in the opening sequence, Witherspoon's character takes off her hiking boots and angrily hurls one of them off a cliff, continuing on without it. Number 3. Texas pre-war cars. In what's been called the Holy Grail find of the car world, 5 cars and a travel trailer, all manufactured before World War II, were rediscovered inside an old barn in Austin, Texas in 2015. The owner moved to Texas from Wisconsin in early 1970s and stored the old cars in his new barn, hoping to eventually get the time and money to fix them up. Roughly 40 years later, the cars were still there, sitting under a thick layer of dust. Number 2. Babe Ruth's letter. In 2014, an estate sale shopper paid a single dollar for an Elk Lodge leader scrapbook of celebrity letters. The women thought they were replicas, but the letters turned out to be genuine. The gem of the collection was a letter typed and signed by baseball legend Babe Ruth in 1942. Number 1. 1870s baseball card collection. Hey look, it's another Antiques Roadshow find. In 2014, a woman brought in a collection of old baseball cards she had inherited from her great-great-grandmother, who ran a boarding house in Boston in the 1870s. Among her tenants were members of the 1871 and 1872 Boston Red Stockings, among the first to ever be paid to play baseball.